Hey everyone, got a few things I wanted to kind of talk about after yesterday. Today it's Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Yeah, interesting day yesterday. Basically, as you know from the video I did back in 2021, I went to Heidelberg College up in Tiffin. It's of course now Heidelberg University. But anyways, graduated from there back in '96, and been back a few times. Last time was 2021, and anyways, yesterday I went back again. Although yesterday was a bit different than the other days. So the other times I've been back, it's been for college reunions or graduation reunions, that kind of thing. Whereas this time it was for a memorial service for one of our professors that we had back when I was going to school there. Her name was Dr. Ruth Wallstrom. She retired back in 2013. I actually never took any of her classes, but the way I knew her was my first 2 years I was up there. I was working at the library, at the main desk at the library, and she came in. It was early my first semester up there, and Mrs. Brandt, my manager at the library, she introduced me to her when she came in, because she came in looking for a book that was on reserve there at the main desk. It was a Hagar the Horrible comic book. I'm not sure if it's an actual comic book or if it was just like illustrated and written by the author or the creator of Hagar the Horrible comic strip. Anyways, Mrs. Brandt told me, the book's Dr. Wallstrom's book, and so that's what she was coming in for. And anyways, sometime after that, I'm not sure exactly how long afterwards, but I was working there at the main desk again, and Dr. Wallstrom comes in, and she comes up to the desk, and she asks me, or she tells me, you probably already know what I'm wanting. And I just went, that book. And Mrs. Brandt was next to me, and she overheard, and she just started laughing. And Dr. Wallstrom, she got this serious look on her face, and it's one of those serious faces where the person's kind of holding back laughter underneath. And then after a minute or so, she's like, "You mean the Hagar the Horrible book?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she kind of giggled and went, "You've got a good memory." So, and it's just, for me it was like, Hagar, a comic book. I didn't equate that at the time with having anything to do with college courses or anything like that. So I think that's why it probably stuck out, that book. But I never had her for any classes. She's an English professor. Had a few English classes, but I didn't have any of hers, unfortunately. But I knew her through my working at the library, because she would come in off and on. And plus her partner was Nancy Rubenstein, who was our reference librarian. And so often, they were often together, so I knew her through Nancy, and as well as working at the library. And plus, small campus, you see folks around all the time, especially at the dining hall at lunches and stuff like that. And, anyways, I hadn't seen her after graduation, And then in 2021, when I did the video tour of Heidelberg, the Heidelberg campus, when I was up there for my 25-year reunion, we were doing the lineup of classes there along Greenfield Street, and I was standing there next to my class's flag that we were me and one of my other classmates who showed up. We were gonna, we did the parade of classes down Greenfield Street, but we were getting lined up and everything, and I was there by myself by our class flag, and I turned and looked, and behind me, and here was Dr. Wallstrom walking down the sidewalk towards me. And we said hello, and she actually remembered me. 25 years after graduation, never had any of her classes, she remembered me. And, that meant a lot, going back to, and this is, 2021, so she retired in 2013, so this is 8 years after she retired, and I think it was 2013 was when she retired. I'm pretty sure. I don't have the obituary on me or anything, but so, but anyways, that meant a lot, that, somebody I didn't even have for class at all when I was at Heidelberg, she remembered me that after all these years and everything. And so anyways, fortunately she passed away this past June, I think it was when she passed away. And we had the family had their, the funeral for her. I think it was in Minnesota, because she's originally from Minnesota. And then, they did a memorial service yesterday on campus for her. And, it's amazing the stories, hearing all the stories and stuff about what her classes were like, and what she was like outside of the classroom and everything, from her family and friends and everything. And I really wish now I could have taken some of her classes, because I was a computer science major, but you had to take other courses outside of your major in college, of course, too. So I kind of wish I would have taken some of her classes now. But I am thankful for, the time I had to know her, and now I'm hearing all these amazing stories from folks. And a lot of the folks that I talked to yesterday, a lot of folks were surprised to hear that, I was there, I never took any of her classes, but it's like, she remembered me, and, that meant a lot. That meant a lot to me back at the time, and that she would remember me after all these years, even though I never took one of her courses or anything. And but yeah, she was everything I've heard. She was a really amazing lady, and she had such a passion for teaching, and teaching, especially teaching the English and everything. And so, we were very fortunate for the time we had with her, and so sad that she's gone. But I got home yesterday, and it got me reflecting on everything that's happened lately, because as you all know, I recently lost my parents. Mom passed away in October 2023. Dad passed away this past February, and it there's times, I wish I could go back and do things differently, or get, spend more time, that kind of thing. And, you know, I mean, yeah, we didn't always get along, but, hopefully they knew that I loved them. I mean, after all, what kid actually always 100% of the time gets along with their parents. Um, so it's, that's just part of growing up. And, I look back, and if anything, I could change, not necessarily like in the arguments and stuff that we've had, where we didn't always see eye to eye on things, but, not necessarily change who was right or who was wrong, but, just there's times I wish I could go back and handle myself differently at times. Um, and, you know, it's just, um, the whole, trying to figure out what I want to say. This is all unscripted, so forgive me if I pause for a moment to think of what to say. But, as far as, the disagreements that Mom and Dad and I had over different issues and stuff, one thing that's I know is that, they came from a different era when, kids were not allowed to basically think on their own. Kids were supposed to, do as they were told without question and everything. And Mom and Dad were from that era, and it's they. I mean, there were times they tried to be open-minded about stuff. When I came out, it was a little bit of a struggle for them to get used to, but it could have coming out to them could have gone a lot worse. Because I mean, I've heard of parents that basically they find out their kids are gay, and then they completely disown the kids. Or one time I heard of someone who came out to their parents, and the dad got a shotgun and told the kid he had 5 minutes to get out of the house. Thankfully, my parents were not like that. But yeah, we didn't get along all the time. But Mom and Dad, they loved me. They did the best that they could with what they knew about the world and everything. They gave me and my brother the moral compass that a lot of people kind of lack these days. And they did the best they could. They loved, and deep down we loved each other. Hopefully they knew I loved them back, despite all the disagreements and everything. But it, the other thing too is, we don't know how much time we have on this planet, and it, things can change so differently, so fast. You look at that last video I had of my second cat, Casey Jones. The night before, it was Friday night, I got home, put groceries away, I sat on the couch, and he's up in my face, wanting attention, acting completely normal. And the next morning, I woke up and he had had a stroke overnight and had to be put to sleep. I mean, that's how fast life can change on you. And it was 2 years ago about this time. I had I had the house in town and under contract. had already brought several loads of stuff up here to my parents' house to store up here to make it easier for when I closed on the house and could move into the house in town. And no more than I got moved in, suddenly Mom was gone. Even though when I was moving in, I was figuring I'd have a few more years at least with both of them. And then suddenly Dad was gone too. And it's just life can change so fast. And I hope they knew that I loved them when they went. Both of them were surrounded with my family when they went, thankfully. I'm thankful I was able to be up here and be with both of them when they did go, so they didn't go alone. Glad I was here for my brother and sister-in-law and at the time too. And Mom, when she went, her brother and his wife, they were there with us. And then when Dad went, his sister was, and her daughter and son-in-law, they were there with us as well. And so, at least, I was, they went off peacefully and everything. And plus both of them, they, there were three things that they got to experience before they went to. One was they got to see me get a place of my own. One thing Mom had mentioned before, sometime before her passing, was that she wanted to see me get a place of my own, which thankfully she did just before. And then, in fact, the night my brother and I were unloading furniture from the moving van into the house, she and Dad were up there at the house, and so she got to see us moving furniture in, so she did get to see me actually moving in to my first house. Both of them also did get to see me move away from Columbus, which, being out in the country now, even when I was living in Bucyrus, living in Bucyrus is a lot better than living in Columbus, because I just hated all the hustle and bustle and everything of Columbus, and everyone is in a hurry and everything, and on their cell phones while driving. And at least up here, everything's, the biggest hazard I have driving up here is the deer. The road out here I live on now, it's probably one of the most notorious roads in the county for deer vehicle collisions. But of course, growing up and learning how to drive, and with that, I got pretty sharp eye on spotting deer at night, and especially during the day and stuff too. But at night too, you gotta keep a sharp eye out for that. But so they got to see me move away from Columbus, and plus the fact that they knew that I was coming back home to be closer to them. So that's three things that they got to see before both of them had passed. And now I'm close now to my brother and sister-in-law and his family, which I'm thankful for. Crazy thing was, since Dad passed, my brother and I, we have not fought at all. There's so many times growing up and even into adulthood, my brother and I, we've fought and argued and stuff, and we didn't we haven't had any real disagreements, even disagreements. The only thing I think we really disagreed on was when it came to choose the music for Dad's funeral, because Dad had told me Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers, and he told my brother another song. But then the funeral director was like, well, we can play both songs. So that worked that out. And, you know, when we were going through everything here in this house, of Mom and Dad's, and determining, you know, do you want this, do you want that, or who is going to get what, or, you know, what stuff we were going to donate, what stuff we were going to sell. You know, we didn't have any real arguments over any of that. Even if there's like any hesitation about what was going to go where, we had the maybe stuff of that we'd come back to determine what we were going to do with, and you know, he was very patient while I got the financing around to buy his half of the house, and you know, got that taken care of. He scared me last month. He had a health issue that reared up a couple of times last month and required him to be in the hospital, which scared the hell out of me. Because you know, you lose both your parents and suddenly your only brothers in the hospital, and yeah, it scared the hell out of me. But anyways, the first time he was in the hospital, I wasn't able to make it down, but he got out pretty quickly. Second time he went back in, I went down to see him. And I was able, and that was the day he was getting discharged. Unfortunately, I had gone down there because he was getting discharged when my sister-in-law and nephew were both at work, so I was able to give him a lift home for no trouble and everything, or with no trouble. So he was very. And the funny thing was, on the way home, he was always kind of like Mom and Dad, you know, getting on me about my driving, even though my driving is not that bad. I mean, even when I'm going under the speed limit, Dad used to always tell me I was going too fast. But my brother, I remember when we took one turn there in Marion, it's a little faster than what he apparently thought I should have taken it, but he started in like he said a few words like he's starting in like before, like Mom and Dad getting on me about my driving. But then he stopped himself and he told me, I really do appreciate you giving me the ride home. And so it's like, you know, things have improved between me and my brother this year, since February, which I'm very thankful for. And he, you know, I think Mom and Dad would be happy to know that, you know, we're keeping the house in the family, and I'm taking care of it and everything. But, you know, it's just so much. It just amazes me looking back, you know, how quickly things change. And I think that's kind of the point I'm coming to is, you know, you don't know, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen next week. You know, we can do all the planning we want to, but, you know, life can always have other plans for us. And, you know, we need to make the best of the time we have. here on this earth, and enjoy life. Let the people who are important in your life, let them know how important they are to you. If even if you have difficulties with your parents or whatnot, don't hesitate to let them know that you love them. Because if you wait, you never know, they might be gone before you get that chance. And it's kind of like what Robert Blossom said in Home Alone. How you feel about your family is a complicated thing. You can hurt, deep down you always love them, but you can hurt them and they can hurt you. And that is just so true. And just a friend of mine, he is taking care of his dad. His dad not too long ago had a stroke, and apparently they had issues over the years, but and his dad's still giving him trouble, but he and his wife are helping take care of his dad and everything. Meanwhile, his sisters, even though their dad survived the stroke and is making a comeback and everything from it, his sisters apparently are fighting over the will and who gets what and everything, and it's like, that's just pure craziness. Why why fight over material stuff? Family is what's important. Don't go fighting over material stuff and dividing up families over that. That's just ridiculous. But value the time that you have. You don't want to get in a situation where you look back and wish you could have done this with your parents or for your parents or whatnot, or said something different, or just value the time you have with them, because you don't know how long you have with them, and not just your parents, but any family members that you care about, your friends, let them know what they mean to you. And unless they tell you or you ask them, you might not know of what someone else might be going through. That might need some, just talking, saying hi, or telling someone that you care about them or you're thinking about them. That might help them out in a situation. You go back to what I was saying about Dr. Wallstrom when I saw her back in 2021. Even though I wasn't going through a rough time at that time or anything, but that just gives you a boost when something like that happens. When you run into someone who just that bit of human kindness. They give you that little bit of human kindness to you. That's just an awesome thing, So, anyways, I probably talked long enough, and like usual, don't really know how to wind this up other than just, look out for each other, and, let people know that you care about them, and you can make a difference in someone's life by doing that, So, anyways, thanks for listening to me babble, and anyways, I'll see you in the next video.